Okay, and we are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Jamie. Another day in the neighborhood. How about you?
Well, the chest infection continues. That's fun.
Man, that thing's got an iron grip on you, man.
Yeah, I've came to the conclusion I'm just more sick. I'm sick more often than I'm not. And I think whatever bronchitis did to me last year, it's messed up my lungs for life. Hopefully not life. But hey, I move on. It's been an extremely busy week for gaming news. I mean, literally after last week's show, bunch of Ubisoft news dropped, good and bad, for the consumer. State of play happened. We're going to go over all those games. By the way, Metal Gear will be a heavily featured topic later in the show. Because I am a happy chappy. Been a good week for news. Literally, some Tencent news broke an hour ago, which we're going to be talking about. I'm sure Jeff Keighley will be happy that this news went public. But it's been an extremely long week. Logan, what have you been playing?
Yeah, I've been playing a few different things. I finally finished Death Stranding.
Nice.
Absolutely loved it. Just I've said it several times. It's just like a perfect A24 or Neon type game. It is just like art house and bizarre and weird, and it shouldn't work, but it does.
Yeah.
And the story, just like, not spoilery at all for those who haven't played, is basically you're this guy and you're delivering these packages and things across the continental United States. You're trying to rebuild America by basically turning back the Wi-Fi on
Yeah.
for everybody. And then um you can't kill any human enemies, or their bodies basically become like nukes.
Yeah.
And so you have to just be tactical or run away, or hand to hand combat. You're either driving or walking everywhere, and like, enemies you fight with your various forms of fluids that come from your body turned into devices.
Yeah.
And it's just insane. And then, like, there's a guy who dies every 23 minutes and comes back. There's a mom with a ghost baby. There's um Frankenstein's monster. Like, there's a ghost dad who's like an eternal soldier. Like, there's all this crazy stuff that makes no sense, but once you play it, you're like, wow, I get it. I, I'm not sure exactly what I experienced,
Yeah.
but I vibe with it. And so that is my conclusion at the end of this, is like, man, I just sat there for a while. I'm like, I still don't fully comprehend what I just experienced, but it was an experience, and I definitely want part two. And so excited for that. Finished Death Stranding. With Requiem coming very soon, I went back to Resident Evil Village and finished the Shadows of Rose DLC. Really good and short, and put a nice little bow on that story. I'm curious to see if Rose comes back in some capacity going forward. Um, my guess is not for a while, but you never know. So keep an eye on that. And I started this new game that came out called Creasol Theater of Idols, which is a FPS horror game from Bloomhouse, where you play as this. I'm not sure if he's an angel Gabriel or not, or just heavily inspired by that. But basically, you go to this island and you have to fight all these creepy mannequin doll nightmare fuel things. And it's very Bioshocky, and you know, it feels like a throwback game to hashtag pour one out seventh gen, and I just love it so much. So that's what I've been playing, man.
Before I get into what I've been playing, I'll mention Death Stranding quickly because you've just finished that. That game is beyond weird. It's so weird, but it's so good. And for people listening, if you have Game Pass, just download it. Like there isn't really anything like it. You'd think that walking across a lot of terrain, delivering packages, wouldn't actually be fun, but the game does actually make it quite fun. The building mechanic. Thankfully, that is crossplay, so other people's creations are from PC, PlayStation, and mobile. Hard to believe they have Death Stranding working on iPhones.
Oh man, that probably sends it to space.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm editing because sometimes I edit images on my phone, like thumbnails, my phone can heat up. So I can only imagine what Death Stranding would do to it. Maybe not. I tried playing Warzone on my phone once. My phone got hot within a minute. And it was on the main menu in Warzone. So like, maybe not. But yeah, Death Stranding. People that have Game Pass especially, play it. Great game. I wouldn't say it's overly difficult either. Like, some of the bosses can be a little bit frustrating, but there's a bunch of different difficulty modes. In fact, the difficulty setting in Death Stranding mainly affects resource management. So if like people don't want to bother with resources that much, just put it on easy. Never have to worry about it. When I told my friend that, his eyes lit up like a Christmas tree because like he loves the idea of the game but not making stuff. Well, there you go. But yeah, what have I been playing? Man, it's been a busy week. So I was going to post about this game on Twitter, and I probably will later on. But there's a demo that came out for a game called Darwin's Paradox.
Yes, the one with the octopus.
Yeah, it's a 3D 2D game where basically it's like Limbo, but it's funny, There's checkpoints.
So not Limbo.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But there's checkpoints all the time, so like if you mess up, you're not really screwed that much. But really fun game, and the demo basically features Easter eggs from Metal Gear Solid, which we'll be talking about in a bit. Really fun demo. I think it was like 6 gigabytes, and I think the whole demo lasts maybe 50 minutes to an hour. Yeah. And it turns out that game's like £19 when it comes out in April. I think it might be $25, I think. But yeah, really cool game. It has stealth, and I think a lot of people might like it. I've also been playing High on Life 2. That game is so good. I really vibe with the Rick and Morty style of humor, and it's like the first game. There's new weapons. The weapons perform differently. There's a skateboard. The skateboard basically acts as an advanced sprint, so you can go super fast around areas in this game. The main hub is bigger than the first game completely. The whole main hub area takes place on a Halo ring. And the reactions I've seen this past week have been hilarious. People are saying they've copied Halo, they sell out, and it's like, Halo rings have been part of sci-fi since like the 70s. Like, it's not like Halo didn't invent Halo rings. It's a nod to Halo, but like ring worlds, they've been around for decades, like almost 50 years, I think. But High on Life, what a breath of fresh air, because it's funny. It doesn't take itself too seriously. There's Easter eggs everywhere. In fact, I was going to post about this on Twitter later, and I probably still will. There's a Fraser Crane game in your house.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah. And like, it doesn't sound like they got Kelsey Grammer, but they got someone that sounded a lot like him to narrate when you're using the crane machine. But like the whole game is just filled with like hilarious Easter eggs. I can't say it on the channel, but at some point people are going to walk past a machine that looks a gumball machine. It isn't a gumball machine. Just read the label. I burst out laughing when I walked past that. There's a nod to a British TV show called Wipeout, where people have to go around an obstacle course and like they bounce on these like red rubber balls type thing. But it's funny. It's hilarious. There's big boss battles. But the movement is probably the core feature of this game, where you can grind on rails. You can grind on basically anything that has a straight line on it. And the skateboard just works really well. This game does have full movies like the last game. It has 6 of them. The first one you unlock is called... it's called like yeah, that's it. Manborg, the sci-fi hit from 2011. It is like the most B-movie thing you can ever think of. It's basically about cybernetically enhanced zombies. It's such a weird movie, but I was watching it for like 30 minutes. I'm like, wait, I'm playing a game. What am I doing? But man, what a good game. I think a lot of people love that. I've been asked a bunch of times, do you need to play the first game? Not really, but the first game is so good. I don't know why you'd skip the first game. The first game is on Game Pass. It's on basically everything at this point. But yeah, what a fun game. Another game I've been playing, and prepare yourselves, people, because apparently I glazed this game a lot. And that's Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. Shocker. I'm on chapter 14. And the funny thing is, right, all of my comments on this game have been extremely positive. Extremely. But the replies I get to my posts on Twitter is just by people angry. People are angry that I'm enjoying this game. Like, you could have played it 5 years ago. Like, okay, and? Like, that doesn't change anything. But, man, I'm just, like, playing it with a smile on my face because I loved Final Fantasy 16, but some of those side quests towards the end, I wanted to bawl my eyes out with an ice cream scoop because they were so monotonous. And for people that are getting into FF16 on Xbox or wherever it is, you don't actually have to do the side quests in 16, but you do if you want to get the achievements. There's like a bunch of collectible specific achievements, and I try to get them. It's not worth it. Like, it's not worth the sanity. You put up against hard enemies that are just frustrating, but in 7, like, the side quests feel rewarding. They feature interesting characters. The visuals in this game, I don't know. I know they use an Unreal Engine 4, I believe, but this game has to be one of the best looking games ever made. Right? It's not going for photorealism. It's going for a very specific art style that just works. And like, even I'm playing on performance mode, everything's super crisp, light and beautiful. The whole game is just, well, beautiful. The soundtrack, I think, it does play into the nostalgia of someone that has played the original, and that's kind of the point. But man, like, if this is people's first Final Fantasy game, and if people are on Xbox and this is your first one, you are getting such a good game, such a good stepping point into the franchise. And honestly, I hope Square Enix continue to make games that play and look like this. Right? I don't need Unreal Engine 5 for the franchise, any of that stuff. Just keep 4. It clearly works. The game looks great and plays great. The combat system is easy to understand. It's smooth. And again, I think when this generation comes to a close, when people are talking about what's the best games on Xbox this generation, this will be in the top list. In some place, it will be there because it's just so good. Like, Square Enix knocked it out of the park with the Xbox versions. I've seen S footage as well. Looks great. Performs at 60 FPS. Can't go wrong. Logan, you haven't started it yet, have you?
No, not yet, but soon.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think me glazing the game this much might be setting the game up to fail for some people, but I'm the kind of person that if I get frustrated with a game, I will make it very obvious to the world. Fortunately for me, I don't play a lot of games I find frustrating. And with 16, it was basically the last quarter of the game I just found really frustrating when it came to quests. But in this, like, the quests feel rewarding, and there's obviously some replayability there because I thought I actually bugged the game out because I didn't get there's an achievement in 7 for basically getting all the quests done in the game. It turns out you have to do some of the quests on New Game Plus, which kind of makes sense after I watched a YouTube video about it. But man, so good. I can't glaze this game enough. Like I gave 16 a 9, right? So like by comparison, I don't even know what I'm gonna give this. It's absolutely brilliant. It's good that this game's actually lived up to its expectations and beyond. Because look, let's be honest, this game could have came out at Xbox after me wanting it to come to the platform for years, and there's a possibility I could not have enjoyed it. Right? Do you know how sour that would have been for me? Fortunately, it turned out great. But yeah, I'm on chapter 14. I should be done by next week's episode, so we'll talk about that again then. And, I've been playing Arc Raiders. What can I say? I've extracted, I've looted. Not really much else I can say on that. But we have a long show, literally about 19 topics. It's going to be a good show. Now, Twitter, YouTube, great apps, but sometimes the algorithm doesn't do its thing. So if you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button. I hate doing these little ads, but liking does help with the algorithm. Commenting, typing in chat does as well. And also sharing obviously really helps. Now, Super Chats is live if you want anything read out, or even if you want a topic added during the show. Anyway, Logan, it's been a busy week. We just had some Game Pass games announced, and shocker to no one, it's actually a really good month. So we had one list last week. I think it was like a week and a half ago, where they added things like, what do you call it? Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, stuff like that. Good list. Well, anyway, this list just dropped, and Microsoft, they're actually on a roll. So let me pull up the list on my phone because, of course, I had to close the web page. The new list for today includes a brand new game called Death Howl that's coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and Premium. Dice Million, which is coming to Ultimate PC. Towerborn. Now, Towerborn, for people that don't know, has shifted from a free-to-play game to a full standalone purchase. So, like, there is no microtransaction store. I believe the game launches next week. But yeah, it's not free-to-play anymore. And I believe, I'll have to double check, I believe the game only offers couch co-op now, as opposed to online co-op. I completely understand the move because, they did a lot of testing for this game, and I think these indie games doing free-to-play like that doesn't work because, these games that have long-term monetization, they have to market the game all year round. They basically have to get a really big market out of the gate, day one. They have to have streamers on board talking about the game, but it's an indie game. They can't afford that. So I think, personally, going towards a single standalone purchase it's the way to go. We don't need more free-to-play games. Let people buy it, and that's that. Hell, a good example of this, and a company that did it right, is Nintendo. Do you know that they had a free-to-play, Animal Crossing game on iOS, and it made money, but didn't make the money they wanted. So rather than shutting it down completely, they changed it to a single standalone purchase and let people buy it outright, which I think is a great way to do it. Logan, what do you think about them moving away from a free-to-play model?
It makes sense to me for the type of game it is and the audience they're going for. I mean, this isn't Fortnite, and let's be real, hardly anything comes anywhere close to that in terms of scale and sustainability and just your unholy amounts of income pouring in. So, yeah, it makes sense to me, and I like the couch co-op. I'm all for more split screen and couch local multiplayer games. Like, I don't know why these companies forget or act like they don't care that, there are actually some of us who live with other people who have people who would like to play games locally too. I mean, I know, newsflash, Some of us go outside and touch grass and know other people, but I don't know, it's just odd.
Yeah, but hey, that's a good move. I think, more indie developers. I mean, how many times in the past have we had to talk about an indie game being shut down or like a live service shut down by an indie studio? So, hey, good move on my part. Next game coming to Game Pass, Ultimate is College Football 26. I know a lot of people love that game. Next up, we have Final Fantasy 3. That's coming to Ultimate and Premium. Next up, we have we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. So that's all DLC, and that is Ultimate and Premium. Next up, we have what's this called? Oh yeah, Trading Card Game Card Shop Simulator. Now I know Logan's gonna love this.
It looks awesome, but I have a feeling the eyes of Sauron Nintendo will gaze upon that game and it will not be long for this world. That is my prediction. Because some of the stuff that I've seen from demos and trailers looks
Oh yeah,
pretty Pokemon card game inspired.
yeah. There's definitely some Pokemon inspiration in the card designs, but we'll see what happens. And finally, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That's coming to Ultimate and Premium. So, good month all around. And honestly, I was actually surprised to see Kingdom Come Deliverance. Because it took, 7 years for the first game to come to Game Pass. And that came to Game Pass, I think, 4 days ago. It also got its free next-gen upgrade. I've seen people post footage of that. It is beautiful. The first game. Now, with those games, they are very hardcore RPGs, right? There's no hand holding. It's not like a lot of other games where, hey, you have a quest to do. There's like a map marker on your screen. It's not like that. The game basically throws you into the deep end in a good way, and it's basically all about immersion. It's not a gamey game, if that makes sense.
It's like a very hardcore sim. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all have that over there or not, but like over here, you've got battlefield reenactments and stuff like that where people act out a battle from the Civil War or whatever, and you've got the North and South, and they'll all have their military outfits and their fake weapons and go reenact scenes or sets and stuff and like go all hardcore for stuff. It's like that, but a game. Like super to the nitty gritty details on mundane things.
Yeah, we don't exactly have that in the UK. I think the closest thing we have in the UK is a place called Beamish Museum, and basically it's a whole town that is basically from the Victorian era. You go
Oh, okay.
there, obviously you just dress in your normal clothes. You can go get a pint in the Victorian pub or get some fish and chips from the Victorian fish and chips, and basically walk around a legitimate Victorian town. That's the closest thing we've got. If people come to the UK, go to Beamish. It's a must play. You have to go there. It is literally like walking back into Victorian times, just without the.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, bit of a tangent, but if people live in the northeast of England, that's where you go on school trips a lot. I think when I was at school, we went there like maybe 6 times. Like, especially when you're doing history, like that was a big thing. But yeah,
We had a medieval fair we went to back in school here where people reenacted stuff and were LARPers, and it was a lot of fun.
yeah. But hey, if people come to the UK, go to Beamish. But yeah, good month. Good games coming. I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and 2. That's going to keep people busy for a couple of 100 hours. But I have to say, it's like Xbox Game Pass. Sometimes they have like quieter months. Sometimes they have heavier months. 2026 so far has been great. You've had Space Marine 2, Death Stranding. You have Resident Evil 8. Both Kingdom Come Deliverance games. So yeah, so far.
Witcher 3, even though it's years late, it's an amazing game.
Yeah. Oh, and good thing you said that. So The Witcher 3 was in Game Pass originally, like 6 years ago, right? But that was the standard edition. So if people are like me and they've played the original, the complete edition has a completely separate list of achievements. So if people like The Witcher and they want to double up, they can, which is nice. But yeah, that's Game Pass. Pretty good list coming. Now, Logan, I know you want to talk about this because delisting has been a big topic the past couple of days. And you want to talk about this because it's limited run games, and they are delisting a game that's basically on everything.
Yeah, the world favorite short amount of copies for reasons company has decided that they're gonna yank all the digital copies of the Jurassic Park collection of games from like Sega Genesis, Game Boy. Um, I think there might be a PS1 game on there. I can't remember. It's at least 5 games,
Yeah.
and I have it both on GOG and on Xbox, so I'm good. But as a heads up, in March, those are all getting pulled from digital. So not only has Limited Run gone from, hey, we're gonna make like 20 copies of this game and then you'll get it a year late. Now we're going to actually just remove digital games too. So, yeah, it just all around sucks. And just wanted to put it out there and give people a heads up that if you like Jurassic Park and you've always wanted to play those games, clock's ticking, my friends.
Yeah. It's a shame because y every time I see an old collection of games like this, and I think it's such a cool way for people to experience these older games because they don't have to. Like, if you're a console gamer, these collections are the best way to go. You're not gonna go up and pick like a Sega Mega Drive, an original Game Boy, just to play a bunch of these different games. So like when it comes to classic collections, I'm all for it, all for it. You can play Gex the Gecko collection. It may not be the best port or remaster, but the fact that you can play them on modern hardware, that's a win. The Legacy of Kain games, which we'll be talking about in a bit, you can play them on Xbox and everything now. The original Tomb Raider games, the fact that we have Angel of Darkness.
And it's fixed.
Yeah, broken at launch, but not fixed with patches or anything. And the studio that did the remaster collection fixed Angel of Darkness, the Tomb Raider game. That's crazy. It's like I'm all for old collections of games, but man, yeah, Croc. And by the way, I have such a soft spot for Croc.
Oh, the little fuzzy guys
Yeah,
too. The Gebos or something.
something
Yeah.
like that. But like that game is such a like. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I think that is like a quintessential PlayStation 1 platformer.
You're not the only one. It's a good game.
But people can play that now, and it has like a ton of different modes you can play on. You can play it so it looks like the original. It has remade graphics which you can play the game in. All this stuff. But like, I'm all for this. And when I say this, like, limited run games clearly had a timed license for this. Limited run games to me come off as extremely cheap. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Their collector's editions. Their collector's editions are, how shall I put it, expensive. Basically the boxes and stuff you get them in always look super cheap. Like, we were talking about this last week, how the collector's edition for Jedi Survivor was a really cool lightsaber, but the box it came in looked like it was going to fall apart. Right? I saw a video of it. It looked terrible. The lightsaber itself was fine.
Dudes also got the Dead Space remake collector's edition somehow, and some
Yeah, the
other
helmet.
high-profile ones.
Yeah, and the helmet looked good, but the box it came in looked terrible. The fact that they don't want to, print more games because they're trying to live up to the name. It's limited run. It's like that's dumb, right? If they are meant to be a legacy publisher, it should be about how it's limited, how you can't play it on many different platforms or whatever. But by the way, we're printing 5 copies of this game, and when we're done, no matter how much demand there is, we're not going to make any more copies. They come off is extremely cheap, and this is just another example of it. So yeah, I've never really had a good opinion of limited run games, and this is just well, how should I put it? Another notch on the bedpost. Like, it's bad. It's a bad look, and and by the way, the worst part, and I hate it when companies do this. So even though they announced that it is going to be delisted in March, they didn't put the game on sale straight away. Right? I think these companies, if they are going to announce that they are delisting games, put it on sale. Like, that is the best way to do it. And I checked the UK price. I think it's like £25. I see why people in the UK may not buy that collection. Like, that is like the fact that you're going to be able to buy basically full price games, full price AAA games for that. Like, hell, Rebirth, I think that costs £39 when it comes out in the UK, right? And you have this Mega Drive Game Boy collection of Jurassic Park games, and it costs $29.99. It's a joke. So yeah, just another example of limited run games being trash. I'd love them to prove me wrong, but man, they're a joke. Those I don't really give companies bad talk much anymore. But those are one of the few companies I will. Just absolute crap behavior.
There's a lot of Xbox community that feel the same or even more hostile towards them, I'll say.
I can't blame them.
Because like it's one of the few games they've actually put on the platform because they've skipped it so many times. And then now they're actually delisting one of the few games they finally put on the platform. It's like I don't know, man. It it it's like EA levels of just ugh.
Yeah. By the way, I'm seeing some croc love in chat, so it's not just me.
That just sounds funny, but yeah.
Yeah, because when it comes to like original PlayStation games, like platformers from that era, I never hear anyone mention croc, and that annoys the living hell out of me. It's like
I had a Game Boy version of it, I think.
Yeah, I think I may have had that on Game Boy Advance. But yeah, Croc, I adore that game. It's so good. Even though you did have tag controls with a platformer, like at the time, it's like, yeah, it is kind of like stiff, but man, I have such a soft spot for that game.
They're bringing the B game back, it sounds like, too.
Yeah. But hey, we'll see what happens in the future with limited run games. They are a terrible, terrible company. Anyway, speaking of delisting, we're going to be talking about Metal Gear in a bit. Another game that got delisted literally last night, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Konami did the exact same thing with the HD collection on 360. I can't stand this. I don't care if the new version is going to be amazing. I don't care if it's going to be 4K, 60 frames, it's going to cook your dinner. I don't care, right? There's no negative to delisting these games. Oh, sorry, there's no negative to having these games in the store. Because, look, the new version's going to be better. So where's the harm in keeping the old version up? They delisted Metal Gear Solid 4 from PlayStation Network for PS3. Stupid move. Same with Peace Walker on PSP or whatever. Yeah, dumb move. Konami keeps doing this. At least announce it. I think Microsoft, I've mentioned this 30 times, I think Microsoft, PlayStation, Nintendo, they all have to have some sort of policy in place that forces companies to announce these like a month in advance.
Yeah, like a red letter notice or something, where you have 48 hours or like a week or something, so people at least know.
Yeah. Like, another example, and this was like last year when it was delisted, the Ubisoft JRPG Enchanted Arms.
Oh man, I missed that digital copy. I have it physically.
Yeah,
but
I've got it on disc, but like I went to buy it and it was delisted the day before I went to buy it.
Oh,
and
man.
I was so disappointed because it's from a Ubisoft era, which they don't make games like that anymore. Literally a Ubisoft JRPG, and they delisted it without any warning. Hell, Ubisoft delisted every single old Splinter Cell game outside of, I think, Chaos Theory. That's the only one they didn't delist. But it's like, why? right? You're not
It's
coming.
on brand for their Splinter Cell treatment.
Yeah. Oh,
So
and don't get me wrong. I'm going to be giving my most how should I say it, angry Splinter Cell rant in a bit. It's a good and a bad thing. But like they didn't release a collection of old games, so why did they list them? Like it's mind-boggling why these companies delist games like this. I understand if there's a soundtrack or something like some sort of licensed piece of media that they have to delist it for even just like a short amount of time. Like look at Remedy, right? They had to delist the original version of Alan Wake because of one song, and they actually sorted the license out, and then they put the 360 version back on the store. Right? They did it the right way. Some movies have, I should say, some games have full movies in which you can watch. Like what was the film that that 2K game had on? What's it called? The Darkness. Right? You could watch
oh yes.
To Kill a Mockingbird. You could watch the whole movie. I think that
I
got
know High on Life has like this T-Rex movie in it and some others.
Yeah, I think it's called like Sammy and the T-Rex or something. It's a Paul Walker, Denise Richards film. I
Yeah.
never would have heard of that film unless it was for High on Life. But yeah, licensing is stupid. I wish these developers and like publishers can somehow get it to work like how it does for movies. Because you never hear about a movie being delisted from, let's say, Netflix or Disney Plus because of the credit music.
Yeah, unless they find something illegal about the film or something, or it's highly controversial, these things don't get delisted.
Yeah. But hey, that's limited run games. They are a big steaming pile. In Peace Walker, I mean, we'll be talking about that in a minute. Logan, you want to talk about this because Bloober Team announced a new game completely out of nowhere, and they seem to be working on like 5 games at the same time.
Yeah, so they had some teasers for the last few weeks, and it had like rose themed stuff and stuff. So people were like, dude, are they making a Rule of Rose remake? Which would be awesome, by the way. I hope we can manifest that happening. I'd love to see them make that, or Haunting Ground, or some of these other like kind of like cult classic PS2 era horror games come back. I'd love it, but no, it is not Rule of Rose. It is Layers of Fear 3, and they're going like this is going to be the biggest one yet of that series. And they're going to take what they've learned from stuff and go forward with it. And I'm excited. I really like Bloober, so I'm glad that they get to make another original IP for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've said in the past, right? I'm a big old scaredy cat when it comes to horror games. uh, there's something about them. Like I can't explain it, right? If I play a horror game, there's like a 90% chance I won't be able to make it. like in the Layers of Fear games, the Layers of Fear games are basically like more walking centric horror games, aren't they?
Yeah, they're more walking sim and like psychological horror rather than like this creature pops out and rips you to shreds, or some dude is chasing you half naked with a chainsaw in some insane asylum. Like they're not like that.
Yeah, well, I'll have to give it a go because that is one of the things I am going to try and do this year is play more horror games, which I'm not looking forward to. Like hell, do you know how far I am behind on Resident Evil games? like,
Uh, did you make it to the fourth one?
uh, right. So I've played the originals. I played 4. I played 5. I played the demo for 6. I played the first section of 7 in PlayStation VR.
Oh man, that's like nightmare fuel
Yeah,
for even me.
y-
That's like psycho.
yeah. Well, my friend has a PlayStation VR, and he's like, "Oh no, you've got to try this." And I'm like, "Okay." So I played the
You
opening
go into
section.
that attic, you just lose it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like literally as I had the headset on, one of my friends she poked the side of us, and I nearly crapped myself, because VR horror is terrifying. So like, oh yeah, and I played Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I got to the point where you have to put the cog in the clock tower, and you have that
Mhm.
Mr. X guy chasing you. I was like, I can't do this. I felt like my heart's gonna explode. So,
I mean, yeah, he is really annoying,
so
but yeah.
yeah, so horror, it's not my strong suit, but Laser Fear, I think I will give it a go. Do you know what's weird? I made it through the Silent Hill 2 remake, and apparently that game's like ultra terrifying, and I did find the game scary, but apparently Resident Evil isn't as scary, so maybe it's some weird psychological thing that's just stopping us. But hey, Laser Fear 3, it's coming. Bloober Team are working on like 3 different horror games at the minute.
They've got their Obsidian mojo on. They're cranking it big time.
Yeah. But hey, that's Bloober Team. Looks good. Let's see what we've got next. Okay, Assassin's Creed 3. Sorry, not Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 4 Remake. Apparently, that's going to be announced and released in April. A bunch of merchandise went up on the Ubisoft store a bit too early. A bunch of journalists got some material that wasn't meant to be out there yet. But it looks like it's happening. And as a fan of Assassin's Creed 4, I am so happy about this because Assassin's Creed 4 is brilliant. Great action game, great pirate game, and even I'll say it as an Assassin's Creed game, it's fun. You know? Apparently the game will feature remade gameplay because, as I've mentioned before, you can't crouch in that game, and it feels weird. But hey, like Logan, you played Assassin's Creed 4, right?
Yeah, it's my favorite quote modern one. Like I love Assassin's Creed 4, and like this might be a nuclear take, but it's the best pirate game that's been made,
Oh yeah.
and it it I don't think it's as good of an Assassin's Creed game as other Assassin's Creeds per se, but I think as a game itself it is awesome, and I love it as a pirate game more so than an Assassin's Creed game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I think the best Assassin's Creed game to me is 2.
Oh yeah, you fight the Pope for crying out loud.
Yeah. You know, I like to actually call 2 and Brotherhood as a packaged game because just the way the story goes from, 2 to Brotherhood. But we'll just say 2. But like 7 was just not 7. I can't speak today. I don't know what it is. I think it's the chest infection, but AC4. That game was just so much fun. You have the legendary ships, just the way you can manage your fleet. You can, shocker, you could swing onto an enemy ship and take it over. Can't do that in Skull and Bones. Like hell, that game sold so well, it put Ubisoft in a position where they're like, hey, we have to make a spin-off. And it took them 7 years to make it. And it's a live service game. But yeah, I love Assassin's Creed as a franchise. 1, 2, 3, Brotherhood, Revelations. Origins, Odyssey. I've ranted way too many times about Valhalla. Beautiful game, but my God, what were they thinking with that game design? Mirage. I think Mirage was a step in the right direction. I think the open world RPG centric game doesn't need to be Assassin's Creed all the time. And I have Assassin's Creed Shadows sitting next to me, so I'm looking forward to going through that. And by the way, they just put in the manual jump button in Shadows. Hooray! I like the idea that they putting these features in, by the way, but the fact that we're celebrating over a jump button is a problem. But yeah, AC4 Remake. Apparently, it's going to be announced in April and released in April, which would be a weird turnaround for a Ubisoft game or Ubisoft Assassin's Creed game, because they typically have around 6 months of marketing. So everything going on at Ubisoft at the minute, who knows what's going on? We'll see. Let's see what we got next. So this came out of nowhere. Now, I'm not the biggest Diablo fan, mainly because I find them kind of frustrating. It's one of the franchises where I keep trying to push myself to like, because I enjoyed the base gameplay. I think the cutscenes are cool. I think the story's cool. and I just never finished them. You know, I think they get to a point where they become a bit grindy, where you're just holding in the right trigger or just pressing one of the buttons over and over again. We can call that a me problem. But Logan, there was a bunch of Diablo stuff announced over the weekend.
Yeah, there was a bunch of crazy stuff. Like this is like the 35th anniversary of, Blizzard as a company. So they're going all out for their major franchises. And, first up is Diablo. They've been doing a ton of stuff for it, and this past month they announced a bunch of content for Diablo 4, and then out of nowhere they announced a new character class and in-game um series of bosses for Diablo 2 25 years later for the remaster. It brings a warlock class to it, and they also added some modern accessibility options and controls and some features that make it feel a little easier and more appealing to a modern audience than classic Diablo. Because Diablo 2 is iconic and one of the best, dungeon looters ever made, and classic game, great story and cutscenes and all that. But it was also pretty tough and pretty I don't know what the word is, restrictive in some ways. So they added some things you can do to make it easier if you want, along with a whole new character. And nobody was expecting a major character class and in-game bosses being added to a game 25 years after the fact. So that was just really cool.
Yeah, I'm all for these games getting content years later. Like, look, there's rumors that Witcher 3 is getting an expansion this year. Um,
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I don't care if it's for a CEO's yacht. I
yeah,
just want a Witcher 3 expansion.
yeah, that was the weirdest reset error thread I've ever seen. By the way, like,
They just want to make something out of nothing all the time. It's like, haven't you ever heard of the expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth? Just, it's a gift horse. Take the gift horse. Just be
yeah,
happy about it.
people legitimately angry that we're going to get more Witcher content. How dare they? you know? Um, but yeah, Diablo getting more expansions, more characters and stuff for even older games. That's cool. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I am tempted to download Diablo 2 Resurrected because apparently that has enemy scaling. So if you play it solo, it will be easier. Uh, because honestly, a bit of a tangent. There's been this argument online for years about difficulty, right? And I've gone back and forth with people about it. And this topic mainly became big when Elden Ring came out. And for
Yeah.
people that have paid attention to my channel for a long time, you know that I finished Elden Ring. Loved Elden Ring. I think it's one of the best games ever made. It's one of the 10 out of 10 games in my opinion. I beat every single boss in that game. There's like 160, you know. So like difficult games I don't have a problem with, but I'm at a point now where I just don't care. I think it's because I just like less free time than ever before, but like difficulty doesn't really bother me anymore. Like if someone wants to play a game on easy, I just don't care, right? Some games like horror games, if given the option, I might play it on easy. But just when I saw the level scaling thing with Diablo 2, I was thinking, you know what, I might give it a go because I like Diablo as a universe. I think it's interesting, but when it comes to actually playing it for long term, I just can't be bothered with grinding anymore. I think it's one of the reasons why I like Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's a JRPG without grinding. Perfect.
Yeah, grinding has turned me off of a few games. Like, I would get late game or like three-fourths of the way in, and then I think I'm about done with the story, but then they're like, "Oh, this next section, you need to actually be another 20 levels higher than
Yeah.
you are." And then I'm like, are you serious? You want me to spend like 4 hours plus grinding just to get to the next mission when I'm already ready to go with all this other in game stuff? It's like, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I think I will download Diablo 2 because I love the art style. There's something about that remake that just I don't know. There's something it just pops. It has that diorama thing going for it. Um, and
It's
it's the
really good.
yeah, really good art style, and it's the Diablo game I've had the most interest in. So I'll probably play that before the next show. But you mentioned it, like I think it's the grinding that puts me off a lot of games now. Like I love Lost Odyssey. I could talk about that game all day, but man, you have to grind in that game.
Blue Worm.
The Blue Worm. Oh my god, I've had PTSD since the day I played that game. Yeah, like I loved Lost Odyssey, but man, the fact that they throw the hardest boss in the game at you as the first boss outside of the tutorial, like why? Why would you do that to me? I remember there's a patch of grass outside of that boss area, and I walked in circles for maybe 20 hours leveling up. I'm traumatized for life. That's why the blue worm comes up all the time, and I'm terrified. It just means wasted time. But hey, Diablo getting more content. Why not? The Warlock class is also coming to Diablo 3. I think they said June or July. But hey, class looks cool. Can't go wrong. Let's see
And
what
it's
we got.
finally in Game Pass, like
Oh
two
yeah,
years later
yeah.
after the acquisition.
That's the big one. Ever since the acquisition happened, people have been wondering why isn't Diablo 2 in there? Like of all games, because you have Diablo 4 in there, so why
And
not
even
2?
the first one, for crying out loud.
Yeah. So hey, more people can play it now. I'm guessing that game has a pretty big player base now because Diablo 2's had a lot of love over the years. Let's see what we've got next. Oh yeah, we'll talk about Marathon quickly because I can't really talk about it till I've played it, and I'm going to be partaking in the beta. Um, there's a lot of people trying to hate this game before it even comes out. Granted, some of it stemmed from the whole art style theft thing, but like people are just looking for the third Concord, and they're looking at this thinking this is going to be it. Um, I want Marathon to succeed because if I can have two, sci-fi extraction games, I'll be happy. So I'm hoping the best. I think Bungie needs a big win. This could be a big win. And honestly, I've been saying this for a while. I think that Arc Raiders, because it being so big, I think Marathon actually stands a chance because Arc Raiders isn't getting another map till April, and we don't have a long-term roadmap for the game. The Arc Raiders is going to be perfectly fine. Like they surpassed 14 million units sold with I think it was 3.7 concurrent players. 3.7 million concurrent players across all platforms. There was rumblings of a Switch 2 version. So like that game's going to be fine. But if you could have a different extraction game that's going to tide people over to like maybe there's a new map or whatever, I think people would be really down with that. Now, me talking about an extraction game is where I'm sure Logan fell asleep. Logan, obviously, I know for a fact you don't give two flips about extraction games because they multiplayer. Do you think that Marathon stands a chance at all?
I'd give it more than a snowball's chance, but I wouldn't give it a great chance.
Yeah.
I mean, because how I see it is basically they are Bungie, so they'll get some people in the door no matter what because of name recognition. Like people are like, "Oh, Bungie's making it. Okay, I'll jump in." Just like, Anthem. Like people are like, "It's BioWare." Like BioWare doesn't miss. Like, of course I'll jump in even though this is not like anything BioWare's ever done before. So I mean, this one has some things going for it more than Anthem did, obviously, because it's a shooter. multiplayer stuff that Bungie is intimately familiar with. But I don't know. I'm one of those people, I guess, that thinks this one and Highguard and Concord are all just gonna be footnotes in a year or two of why you shouldn't trace trends and like be in the encyclopedia for gaming. Like I kind of just feel that's what's gonna happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, the writing was on the wall for me when it came to extraction games because, like, look, all these companies were chasing battle royale for years. Every new game was getting a battle royale mode, and it was always treated differently than other multiplayer modes. And like, I think multiplayer has been stagnant for a long time. Then you have Arc Raiders come out in a time where, if you're on console, there's a chance you've never even heard of Escape from Tarkov, on PC. So you have like nerds like me that like watching people play Escape from Tarkov, but most people on console, no idea what an extraction game was. And Arc Raiders beautifully explained what it was, how it plays, everything. It conveys everything to the player so simply that it had to take off. You fight robots, right? And what the game is like doing, fighting robots. So like that worked out really well for them. And Arc Raiders is going to be huge for like the rest of the generation. Like hell, it's so big that the developers they said like, look, we weren't prepared for the game to be so big. Some people were underwhelmed with the roadmap. Like the roadmap we saw isn't the full roadmap. It's just what they basically have ready to go. Like short term. But like with Marathon, like a lot of people looking at it as in, oh look, it's people chasing trends. It's people looking at, and even though Marathon was announced years ago, people are just looking at the success of Arc Raiders and going, Marathon, it's going to fail. It's going to be Concord 3, all this stuff. You have the Highguard thing, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I hope Marathon's good. I think the tech test is next week or the week after. The tech test did wonders for Arc Raiders. Wonders. So maybe the same thing will happen with Marathon. We don't know. But yeah, obviously I'll have gameplay whenever the podcast is after that, tech test. Let's see what we got next. Oh, this is a fun one. Highguard. This is the last multiplayer game we're going to be talking about for today. Now, Highguard, man, what a mess. 3v3 raid game. By the way, they did not convey to the player what a raid game was. Like they just made up a genre. Go, hey, by the way, look at us. We are a 3v3 raid shooter. What does that mean? I was so puzzled when they announced that. I was like, you could have just made up some random words and said that's what the genre is. It's a 3v3, flibble, what's it? Like, it doesn't mean anything, And, you have Jeff Keighley coming out on stage saying, by the creators of Titanfall. Everyone gets excited because Titanfall is brilliant, And you have Apex, which I will not say a bad thing about because I could talk all day about how that took away Titanfall. You have Jeff Keighley saying he enjoyed the game when he played it. He's posting about it on social media. He even posted that meme said like, oh, you're going to regret it in 48 hours. And the game comes out. It hit like 90+ thousand concurrent players on Steam at launch, which is really good. However, it lost 90% of its player base in just a couple of hours. Before the show went live, there was several hundred people playing concurrently on Steam. This has a year-long roadmap filled with new maps, new characters, new game modes. And this past week has been absolute mayhem for the game. So apparently they've laid off most of the studio. I found out this yesterday. So one of the people they had in the studio who made some really cool character designs made this like goth looking woman. She looked like really cool. She had magic. She wasn't made into a character. The other character was this tank dude wearing armor, looked really cool, didn't make it in the final game, and apparently this character creator they hired for the game was put onto being the manager of microtransactions. Like, someone talented making character designs, you put on basically heading up the microtransactions team. Wild. Absolutely wild. Literally. And, it came out literally just a couple hours ago that this indie game made by, former Titanfall devs, apparently the studio was funded by Tencent. And
Well, that's
Tencent,
not very indie of them.
yeah, not indie at all. And this was meant to be a passion project, an indie passion project in the multiplayer space. And it turns out that Tencent funded the game, but when you look deeper, Tencent actually plays part in the Game Awards. So did Jeff Keighley play the game and like it, or did he have to promote the game because Tencent's there? Because on the board of partners or whatever behind the Game Awards, you have people from Tencent. Something's a bit weird. Something's going on. They're not letting us know. But, there's something really dodgy here. And I think this is going to be all those things where maybe it's a year from now, or maybe 5 years, there's going to be some scandalous story come out about this game in the studio and how it was promoted. Because, how do you have a possible over $100 million game? It's announced at the Game Awards, and you don't show anything off until the day it releases. No tweets, no Vidocs. And in fact, if you go to the Highguard YouTube channel, there's 40 videos. Not even kidding. There's 40 videos talking about each character, each weapon class, everything. Every aspect of the game. And it's who are you making content for? Right? Because you didn't want to talk about your game before it came out. And the worst thing, and this is how I knew this game was going to fail long term, rather than admitting the failures of the game, rather than admitting the failures of the studio, the marketing, one of the developers put out a Twitter article blaming gamers. I'm sorry, but we have this time and time again. These developers do not learn. They won't learn, right? Hey, our game failed. Let's blame the gamers. Why do these developers never take accountability, right? No accountability whatsoever. Hey, we missed the market. We didn't realize that, hey, maybe people didn't want a hero shooter in 2026. Everyone that plays a free-to-play game right now or a live service game, they aren't moving away to play this. Overwatch fans, Overwatch is popping off right now in the multiplayer space, right? You have Overwatch, which has been around for years. It's popular. It's even more popular right now. You have Marvel Rivals, and that was always going to be big because of Marvel and the way it plays. And they have so many different characters. They can come out with new content all the time. So, in the hero shooter space, you essentially have two big games. Nobody else was ever going to step in and take away from their market share. And then you have an indie developer, quote-unquote indie developer, who's clearly funded by Tencent, pumping out a 3v3, now 5v5 hero raid shooter in a genre that nobody knows what the hell it's about, with a month before release and zero marketing, and then you have the audacity to blame gamers to not wanting to play a game in a crowded genre that nobody wants. Laughable. Absolutely laughable. That'd be like me making a free-to-play battle royale featuring cartoony characters. Nobody wants that. So why'd you make a game in that genre? It's mind-boggling. We see this time and time again. A game fails, they blame gamers. Yes, gamers didn't buy your game or play your game, but you shouldn't have made one that nobody wanted. And some people will say, "Oh, but competition is the best for the industry and business." Yeah, competition is great, right? But come on, right? The reason why we will never see a Call of Duty competitor is because Call of Duty fans like Call of Duty. Same with Battlefield, right? Battlefield players like Battlefield. Halo fans, like, look, what was that game that came out that tried to take away from some of Halo's player base? Splitgate.
Oh, Slip Space?
Splitgate,
Or
right?
something
Splitgate
like
2
that,
came out. Nobody played it. They've had to launch that game twice, and it's failed each time. And they were saying, "Hey, you like classic Halo? Play us." Right? And free to play. Look, I don't like calling games slop,
Mm.
but I'm going to call it slop. I'm tired of seeing these free to play games announced all the time. It's like, look at us, we're an indie game. You're really not. And you know, we for gamers, buy gamers, all this stuff. And you go to the store and you can buy £100 packs of premium coins. Are you kidding? You know, you have a AAA centric indie release with zero marketing beforehand, and you blame gamers for the studio that's inevitably going to shut down. Okay, let's play that game. Why does the game exist? Was anyone asking? Because this is a big problem. I'm sorry if I'm ranting, but like, this is my biggest problem with the game industry. There's clear demographics for certain genres, right? And companies can do this thing called focus testing, right? By the way, when I did business at college, a huge thing that we did was focus testing for bars of chocolate, right? What did people like? And do you know, after all of this research we did at college for, like, you know, what kind of chocolate bar people wanted, we came to the conclusion that people just wanted plain chocolate. Plain milk chocolate. That's it, right?
It's all reliable.
Yeah, old reliable. And we basically had to make our own chocolate bar, but we just ripped off Cadbury's. Like, blatantly.
Hey, there's certainly worse choices.
Yeah, but it worked, and you know, people bought it. But like, there's core demographics for everything, and they keep making games for people that don't exist, right? And it's a huge gripe for me, right? And it's this also goes into like things like, you know, movies, television, books, comic books, and all this stuff. But in video games, it's like, it's rife at the minute, and every time something fails, they blame gamers. Not the fact that they launched a crappy game in an overcrowded genre in a time when nobody wants this game. Like, I've never heard a single person on a podcast, in a video, anything on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, anything. I've never heard someone go, you know what we need? A brand new hero shooter. Not once. Not once. Never seen anyone mention that. And it makes my blood boil, because every time it happens, it's predictable. Blame gamers. Concord failed, right? What did they do? Blame gamers. Every single time, blame gamers. And it's infuriating. It's like, you messed up, you misread the market, you misread the room, and you made a game nobody wanted. I'll use Arc Raid as an example before I let Logan talk, because I've been talking for like half an hour. But like, Arc Raiders, nobody was asking for Arc Raiders, but it's in a genre people aren't familiar with. It's easy to play, it's easy to understand, the characters look cool, outside of one of the skins that look terrible, but like, it's a fun game, it's easy to understand. That's it, right? That's literally it. You have a bunch of former Battlefield developers making a game in a new genre for most people, and it pops off, right? Because it's fun. If your game is fun, people will play it, right? Long term. You know, the amount of different mechanics in the game. It's a gorgeous game as well. And, you know, you have Unreal Engine 5. It's 4K. It's 60 frames. It has inventory menus that work with a controller. Questing that just works. Everything about it. Nobody was asking for an Arc Raiders game. Nobody. But they made a game that people ended up loving. But the problem with Highguard and all these other games is they're making games in genres people are sick of. Right? Nobody's wanting a new Overwatch. You have Overwatch. Nobody wants a new Marvel Rivals. You have Marvel Rivals. Why do you think every other game that comes out that looks like Fortnite fails? Because people have Fortnite. You know, it's ridiculous. And like, yeah, competition is good for business, but come on. It's not competition. It's just bad game design. And by the way, Logan, you might not know this. Do you know that Highguard does not have leaderboards during the game?
A very Battlefield of them.
Yeah, very Battlefield 2042 or whatever it was called. Oh yeah, and there's no progression.
So what are you doing?
Exactly. There's no level based. There's no level based progression.
Is
So
it
they have
just a
this.
scrimmage?
Yeah,
It's like, what are we doing
it's
here?
crazy. They have this free to play sludge. Nobody wants, and there's no progression. And you have the audacity to have a store filled with premium coins. Crazy. Logan, what's your take? Because look, I don't play basically PvP. I only play Warzone with a friend, and I play socially. I play Arc Raiders, but I mainly do solos. But when it comes to PvP, I don't care about the genre, but I at least understand it enough to talk about it. Like, what's your take on the whole Highguard situation? Because it's been a mess this past week.
Yeah, it honestly makes you kind of tinfoil hat feel a bit. There is just a bunch of stuff that just doesn't add up and just seems really odd or weird or doesn't pass the vibes or smell test with this thing. And, whether it's backing for it, no marketing, where they decided to debut versus just debuting and doing word of mouth. The fact that, Destin Legary had a tweet earlier today where basically their website is shut down now or it's not active. They haven't had any post for like 5 days or more. And like their player count is abysmal, and then, you have all this Jeff Keighley, and Jeff Keighley only is the promoter of this product and chooses it as the flipping closing game. One more thing at the Game Awards when you have Knights of the Old Republic 3 that has been wanted for over 20 years as at your show. And and then it comes off like AI slop type, you know, almost like a you remember the game Abandoned that everybody was
Oh yeah,
like so interested in from PlayStation? They showed it off and everybody's like, "Oh man, this is so cool." And then basically the backstory and the mystery behind it became way more fascinating than the product itself, which, if I'm not wrong, still has not come out yet at all in any form whatsoever. It just it feels like, is it a joke? Like, is this just some sick joke that we're not understanding? Or, like, what was the idea with this? Because I don't get it. It doesn't pass the test to me.
yeah. Something looks odd. And by the way, I just checked on Jeff Keighley's Twitter. He hasn't posted in 4 days. So
Well, someone should ask about PlayStation inflation.
yeah, something's going on. Something's really going on. But we're obviously going to talk about Highguard again next week. I mean, look, I don't like seeing games fail. I don't like seeing developers get laid off. But when I see like a game fail and they do the typical blame developer thing. Sorry, blame gamer thing. It just,
The children are out of touch, Jamie, not
yeah,
us.
it's like, look. And by the way, they keep bringing up the like certain streamers and like content creators and stuff like. It doesn't matter who they mention. If you make a good game and it's good, it will do well, right? But the fact that they released a free to play, like everyone's calling it slop, right? Anyone in chat right now, I haven't seen a single good comment about Highguard. Nobody was wanting it.
It has a cool name. I will give it that. I like the name Highguard. It sounds fantasy cool. But yeah, that's what I'll give
Yeah,
it.
the name's good, and like I put out a post the other day saying how like you have these indie developers pumping out this game that's like it does have this AI thing going on. It doesn't look like a full release. Clearly, it's not, and it's like they're making games for a market that doesn't exist. Do you know what? I would love more single player games, right? I've never put a penny into a free to play game, not one, and I will never put a penny into a free to play game, right? But do you know what I will buy? single player games, and it's just I see this time and time again. It's just giving me a headache. But yeah, I just want to talk about Concord Highguard quickly, because
You want to
Highguard
talk
was.
about ET while we're at it, or
Say that again,
you want to talk about ET while we're at it, or
man. Do you know what's crazy? Concord was such a failure that it is actually a new unit of measurement.
Ooh.
Like,
You
because
can
like,
rest easy, ET. You're
yeah, like
safe in your landfill now.
yeah, yeah, like ET was like the go-to, right? Literal landfill, right? And you fast forward a couple of decades, and now you have the shining beacon of hope, Concord, and that lost Sony couple of at least $200 to $400 million. Again, a game in a genre nobody wanted. Like, nobody was asking for a new, hero shooter. And I will say this: ever since Concord, I've seen maybe 2 hero shooters announced. Actually, no, technically 3. And 2 of them have failed. One of them's Marvel Rivals, and that succeeded. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in the future with Highguard. But wow. But
I mean,
let's get into some.
Concord killed Jim Ryan's 12 live service games idea.
Oh
Remember, that was his last gift for Sony.
yeah,
Besides trying to get Activision deal killed, was let's fund 12 live service games. And that was just a colossal failure.
yeah. I mean, I look. I don't have a problem with these, like, Sony and Microsoft wanting to make variety. But look, Sony, stick to your strong suit. Make single player games. Microsoft. The thing is, they had this reputation of being a multiplayer only publisher for a long time. But the truth is, that hasn't been the case basically ever. It's just that their problem was they didn't have enough studios to have any kind of variety, and now that's clearly not the case. They heavily lean into single player games. They have Call of Duty as a multiplayer game. They have Halo as a multiplayer thing. So, like, when it comes to them, they don't really have to make any new multiplayer games. Sony, people play Call of Duty and all that stuff. People play Fortnite. They really just have to make more games people want, and that's single player games. I think the only games Sony could make in the multiplayer space that would work is SOCOM and Twisted Metal. Those are 2 games and 2 genres that don't have any competition at the minute. Because the third-person military shooter, nobody's really making them. Car combat game with a wide range of characters, like, you could do endless amounts of battle passes with Sony characters, but they didn't do that. In fact, they cancelled their Twisted Metal game, but they'll learn. But yeah, Highguard, Tencent, what a joke. You know what? This is going to be a fun topic. We'll keep this brief. So, a game was announced in 2019, and I've talked about this game nonstop, and it's called Crimson Desert. And every time I've posted about this game, maybe it's the main character, Cliff, I believe his name is, riding a dragon or something. People have replied saying, I think it's fake. Oh, by the way, we're now in the show. If you're enjoying it, please hit like, share, and subscribe. I hate doing these little ads because they make me cringe a little bit, but I kind of have to because it helps the channel grow and helps the podcast grow. If you want to support the channel with super chats, it's greatly appreciated. It all gets put back into the channel. Anyway, so Crimson Desert, people have been saying it's going to be vaporware. The game doesn't look real, and the truth is, if a game looks too good to be real, a lot of the time it is. But the game went gold, I think 3 weeks ago, and it comes out in March. And this game looks freaking amazing. It's a single-player action RPG. It is massive open world. It's basically in the same vein as a Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption. It has endless amounts of gameplay mechanics. You can go fishing. You can start fight clubs. You can take part in fight clubs. There's farming. There's base building. There's character customization. There's a wanted system in the game. I'm sure GTA fans loved hearing that one because like not many games or not enough games have them as well. Let's see what else. There's multiple different factions you can side with. There's branching story arcs. It came out today that the game features no XP based skill tree. In fact, you improve your attributes by exploring in a continent sized map where I think that is the best way to actually, reward the player with exploration. Just, visit stuff and you find these relics which help you they basically act like attribute points. But like no XP system, there's no external monetization system, there's no microtransactions. They said that they want the game to be a full game at launch. Music to my ears. But this game looks too good to be true. There's many mounts in the game. You can ride dragons, you can ride horses. I think there's a camel in the game. There's also bears, there's giant wolves, there's mechs. There's mechs in this fantasy game. And there's just like so much you can do. You can ride horse and cart. There's horse racing. There's kart racing. It is absolutely jam-packed with features, and some people have said like maybe it's feature creep, or maybe there's going to be too much there for the player. Oh yeah, there's hunting as well. There's basically everything. And I do complain. Admittedly, I do complain that there's not enough sci-fi games. But if you're going to do a fantasy game, do it right. And every couple of years, I've noticed that there's a fantasy game that pops off. Elden Ring popped off big time a couple of years ago, and rightly so. It's a masterpiece. Then you had Baldur's Gate 3 pop off, and even though it's not really a fantasy game, but it's a medieval game, came out last year. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 popped off. I think that Crimson Desert is going to be that next game. I think this is going to pop off because all of a sudden people are really aware of how good this game looks. It's made by an MMO developer. They make Black Desert Online. The game originally started off as an MMO, and they basically reshaped the whole thing to be a single-player RPG. And as someone that's been following this game since 2019, the game looks amazing. It really does. Does it look too good to be true? Yeah, but at the same time, there's hours of footage you can watch on their YouTube channel. I'm just impressed. And, I may have spent 20 minutes talking about how sloppish Highguard is. I can't say that about this game. It looks like everything I want in a fantasy RPG. It looks like it basically combines elements of Red Dead Redemption, The Witcher 3, Skyrim, Tears of the Kingdom, while having darker fantasy elements like Game of Thrones. Sign me up. Logan, what do you think? Because this game's been a long time coming, and just now people are realizing, oh yeah, this game does look amazing.
I mean, when it's heavily inspired and is looking to take inspiration from like 10 of the best games that have ever been made in their various genres, like, yeah, you're going to keep tabs on this, and it looks incredible. I can't wait to play this. I love the work that's been coming out of Korea lately, the last few years. It's become one of the rising stars in the gaming development scene, along with Warsaw, Poland, are a couple places that, most people didn't really think about for gaming, but have become new rising hotbeds of talent. And yeah, it's weird that there's this like almost assumption that if you see a cool game that's coming from either China or Korea or somewhere, like a lot of people just assume it's vaporware. I'm like, no, there's some really talented developers over there, and people should pay attention.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what's funny? You mentioned that. So, my friend that I play Call of Duty with, he's probably listening right now. He's mentioned before, like, he doesn't follow game news a lot. Like, he's mentioned before, he was like, have you noticed all these games from China and like Korea, like, legitimately look good? It's like, yes, like a lot of us gamers have been saying this for a while. Whereas a
Yeah,
lot of
Tides of Annihilation. I
yeah,
mean, and it has, award-winning actors in it. Sign me up.
yeah, And like they have a really good formula, and like they're making games that work. I've noticed Korean games, they don't really seem buggy at launch. They seem to
Mhm.
work. Um, and look, maybe it's some inherent bias or something, but like if I see a Korean, Japanese, or Chinese game on the store now, I give it the benefit of the doubt because more than likely it's going to be good.
Yeah, I agree. Most of them I've played have been, at the very least, good.
Yeah. I just saw Tides of Annihilation in chat. Yeah, Tides of Annihilation, like that's one of my most anticipated games. Like, and that is, I think that's also a Chinese studio, right?
Yep, and it has, like I said, the girl who played the Mael in Expedition 33 is
Jennifer
the main
English.
character, and it's like a revamped King Arthur take on modern with all kinds of crazy stuff. It looks incredible.
Yeah. Stellar Blade's another one. That, by the way, that this wasn't really a topic, but I'll just throw it in there. It looks like Stellar Blade's coming to Xbox and Switch this year.
It's about time.
Yeah.
It's one I've been wanting. I have it on my Ally X, but I would definitely pick up an Xbox version.
Yeah. I mean, look, sci-fi, Souls-like action adventure game. Sign me up. Um, it's crazy. Do you know if you go back to the early 2000s, thinking about it, like all the big games were made by Japanese developers. All of
Yeah,
them.
I assumed that's who just made games
Yeah.
growing up. Because Nintendo and PlayStation, I knew they were Japanese, like Final Fantasy, Mario, Zelda, all that. Like, I didn't know there were American developers or European developers for a long time until I got to GameCube generation or later, and then I learned like, oh yeah, there's Activision and some of these other companies. Like, I just thought Japan is where games came from.
Yeah. And if it was a Japanese game, you're like, okay, it's good. You had Bandai Namco, Capcom, you had Sega, Square Enix, and
Squaresoft back then.
yeah,
Yeah.
Squaresoft. And like now, it's kind of came full circle because during the seventh generation, Western games kind of took the foothold of the industry, and now it's like kind of swinging back to Asian markets or Asian developers. And guess what? Bloody well deserved because the games work, they make games people want, and hey, bring more over. But yeah, oh yeah, Konami. Konami was like the business back in the day, and thankfully for us, they're getting back into gaming. But hey, Crimson Desert looks amazing, and it's just funny to see this game I've been yapping on about for 6 years. People are like, oh yeah, this looks good now. It's always looked good. Like, I know people like to throw me under the bus at every given opportunity for some reason, but like, come on, this game looks amazing. It always has. Let's see what we got next. We'll get into the really big topics because State of Play happened literally like 2 days after last week's podcast, and honestly, I think that was the best State of Play they've ever had.
It was pretty good.
It was a good show. It's funny, after the show, I put out a full list of everything that's coming to Xbox. A bunch of people asked me to. I got a lot of crap online. Like, people are like, you're being toxic. It's like, I literally just posted it. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like, look, Microsoft, they put multiple logos in their trailers now, right? Sony doesn't. So, like, I did some research. I found out that 18 of the games, it might actually be 19, 19 of these games are coming to Xbox, right? So I didn't see a problem with posting this list, and my God, people were angry. It's like, come on, right? People argue back and forth about what game's going to be on what. Like, stop caring. It's too much effort to argue like this about everything every single day. But anyway, I've got the full list here because there's some really good games here. So, everything I'm about to list off is coming to Xbox. That was on State of Play. So, they have 007 First Light. It got a brand new trailer. That game looks amazing. I'm a huge Bond fan, and we just don't get Bond games anymore. So, hopefully, this is the start of a new era.
What's your favorite Bond, out of curiosity?
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, I was like Casino Royale. I
Yeah.
think is probably my favorite, and then GoldenEye, and I don't know, something about Goldfinger was really fun too.
Yeah, for me, the top two would have to be Skyfall. Yeah, I'll give me top three: Skyfall, Casino Royale, GoldenEye. I think that
Yeah, I can rock with that.
I think Daniel Craig's Bond came in at the right time because it went from really corny and a little bit cheesy to like serious. Like
Hmm.
Bond definitely needed that as an IP, and it came out yesterday that before before Casino Royale came out, the shift to a more serious Bond apparently happened because of Austin Powers. Because like they couldn't do the jokes anymore because it was all too much like Austin Powers. So I kind of like that, but yeah, Daniel Craig. By the way, do you know before Daniel Craig was announced to be Bond, people were losing their marbles because Pierce Brosnan was the Bond for a lot of people. Like I think he was an amazing Bond. But in the UK when they announced Daniel Craig as Bond, there was an actual helpline for people that were like dealing with it in a bad way.
Man, I didn't know he was that controversial.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no, it was a big thing here, right? It's like because people love Pierce Brosnan, so changing actors, people couldn't deal with it. But I love Bond, man. It's such a great universe. I absolutely love it. But this game, it looks great. They go on with the younger Bond, which I think works. Actually looks a lot like the Bond described in the books with the scarf and stuff. But hey, I'm all for that. Next up, we saw gameplay for Star Wars Galactic Racer. This is by former Burnout developers, and it shows. It really shows. It even has the Burnout style cameras when a vehicle hits like rocks or something and it slows down. Full on. Yeah. The controversy for Bond, by the way, I was going to mention this. Daniel Craig's blonde.
oh, that was the controversy.
Yeah, that was the major controversy because Bond has always been described as pale man with black hair,
Yeah.
and the fact he was Bond and he was blonde, that rhymes. People lost it. Like when they announced it, by the way, a lot of people wouldn't know this. They announced it by he was on like a speedboat going through the Thames. That's the river in London, and he was on this boat with like SAS Marines, like SAS people, and that's how they announced it, right? And people were losing it because he was blonde. This was before his hair was cut and it was kind of like longer than it is in the film. It's such a dumb thing, but and Casino Royale. By the way, my favorite scene in Casino Royale is the whole poker scene.
Oh, it's iconic. Yeah.
It's like it's so intense and it's just poker. That's all it is. But yeah, back to the games. Yeah, Star Wars Galactic Racer. Logan, I know you're going to be all over this.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And I missed somehow that it was made by Burnout people. That makes perfect sense. The sense in the world. Because the crashing, the destruction, the basically like you'd have to be a force sensitive or an alien to be able to tune your senses just so to handle breakneck speed and slow down and all this other stuff. Like
Yep.
I can totally see them going hog wild with this. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're gonna do Burnout but Star Wars, I think you have a lot of people's attention. Next off, they showed off Resident Evil 9. I think a lot of people are sold on that game. The Leon Kennedy memes are all over the place. What can I say? That's probably going to be one of the best selling games of the year. People are clearly all over that. Next up, they showed off gameplay for Control 2, which is Control Resident. That game looks like Devil May Cry, but with Control. I think it looks cool. Next up, they showed off the new Dead or Alive game. It's more Dead or Alive. Never is getting a prologue, which looks pretty cool. This was some of the big ones for, I know, myself and Logan, people that like older games. Legacy of Kain Defiance. I know so many people have asked me, will they ever remaster Defiance? Well, yeah, it's coming. Weird thing is, this time, all of the credit was given to Crystal Dynamics, whereas in the past, it's always been Aspire that gets the credit. So maybe something's changed, but this has lost levels. It has making of documentary stuff included, and I think the deluxe edition actually includes a demo for the sequel, which never got released. That's a cool thing. They also announced Legacy of Kain Ascendance, which is a 2D game. Logan, I know you like older games. What was your take on the whole Legacy of Kain thing?
I was very happy. More of it, the merrier. I'm glad these collections are coming to modern consoles and getting remasters and facelifts. And I'm all for spin-offs, like Metroidvania spin-offs and platformers and stuff. It's a way to get people in the door for the genre and, maybe reach some different audience as well. So definitely support that.
Yeah. Next up, they announced Castlevania Curse of Belmont. That looks really cool. It looks really cool. Old school style Castlevania game. Can't go wrong. And by the way, I love how Konami just low-key put out this statement saying it's one of many Castlevania games in development.
Finally.
Like, there's been a rumor in the game industry for about 2 years now that there's a AAA Castlevania game in the works. And when this was announced, there was kind of this collective sigh on the internet. Like this isn't that AAA game. So we are going to see it sooner or later. But, yeah, like Castlevania, it's going to be big. Next up, they showed off Darwin Paradox. I've had gameplay during the show. You play as an octopus and you do stealth missions and stuff. It's fun. Next up, they showed off the Rayman 30th Anniversary Edition. It's a collection of old Rayman games. By the way, Rayman fans actually get something. Who would have thought? You think Splinter Cell fans have it bad? Rayman fans have had it worse. So they finally get something. Next off, a game was announced called Crimson Moon. That looks to be a new third-person action RPG. Now, I'm not really familiar with this game. It's called Brigadine Abyss. I believe it's a remake of a PlayStation 1 JRPG. I know a lot of people are really happy when it was announced that's coming to Xbox. It's going to be on everything. But hey, more Japanese games coming to Xbox. Can't go wrong. Next up, they showed off a new trailer for Beast of Reincarnation. Comes out this August. And, I mean, this is by the Pokemon developer. And it looks amazing. And it's not a Souls-like, which I think was the biggest surprise. It's not a Souls-like. It's just an action RPG. They showed off a brand new trailer for Pragmata. There's a demo available now. Highly recommend people try it. Pragmata is a very cool game. Weird, but in a cool way. Next up, they showed off a trailer for Marathon. The end of I have one game, but we're going to talk about in a second. But the ended the show off with John Wick, AAA game. This game was announced in 2022. And I always thought, look, if this game ever sees the light of day, it has to be either Remedy or Rockstar Games. Right? It's neither of those two. And you know what? I'm not disappointed because the game looks fantastic. It's by Saber Interactive. Somehow they are making like 8 games at the same time. Right? And by the way, all
have they
Saber
become the
Interactive
go-to licensed game maker now?
basically. And I've came to this conclusion that Saber Interactive announce all of their games the exact same way. All of them. They announce it with a CGI trailer, and they end the trailer off with 10 seconds of gameplay. All of them do this, right? Space Marine 2, same thing. What do you call it? Hellraiser Revival, same thing, right? Jurassic Park. Sorry, say that again?
No, I was just saying Jurassic Park, same thing.
Yeah,
all
Jurassic Park, same thing. Like every single game they announce, CGI trailer, 10 seconds of gameplay. I have no problem with that, by the way. I think that's an okay way to announce a game because you're giving people a little taste. And some people in the gaming space have this thing against CGI trailers. Truth is, I don't have a problem with them. If it looks cool, if it gives people the vibe of what the game's about and what it's like, I am okay with it. But yeah, AAA John Wick game. It's violent. It's ruthless. It's a prequel to the first movie, which is nice. Keanu Reeves is reprising his role. The what I keep forgetting how to pronounce the director's name. Chad Stahelski?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, the director of John Wick, he's working on the game as well. Honestly, this might be the ideal John Wick game people have been wanting for a long time. People have noticed that all of the enemies in the trailer are bald. Little fun fact: game developers do this because it's easier to animate. Right? You'll see in a lot of games where they announce the character are either wearing hats, they're bald, and sometimes they're just wearing face coverings so they don't have to animate the face. When the game comes out, they'll have hair. It's just something game devs do. But honestly, John Wick, man, so happy to see this game in action. Because I thought with it being 4 years, like, surely it's time. And it's Saber Interactive, so like I think they're gonna knock it out of the park. Like, look, after what they did with Space Marine 2, they have an endless amount of love for me. Like, Logan, what do you think? Because it surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, it looks awesome. And the fact that it's Saber, I mean, it means they're going to knock it out of the park, for one. And two, I'm like, how on earth are they able to make all these games at once? Like, do they have like a cloning facility in the basement or something? Like, how many people are working at this company where you've got Jurassic Park, you have Knights of the Old Republic remake, you've got Warhammer Space Marine 2, maintenance. You've got World War Z maintenance. You're working on Space Marine 3 and now John Wick and all this other stuff. It is just crazy the output they're putting out.
Yeah. And by the way, the unannounced Hasbro game that they're working on, I 1,000,000,000% think it's Transformers.
Oh, I mean, at this point, it would have to be, unless there's some other like major '90s toy um franchise I'm not thinking of right now.
Yeah. Oh my god, bit of a tangent. Can you imagine if they make a Transformers game that kind of roughly plays like Space Marine 2?
Oh, dude, that'd be nasty. That'd just be so good.
And I think Transformers fans are especially in need of a game after the fact that they aren't going to do another animated movie, which I'm still sour about. But yeah, really good show. And the one game we did leave off the list is that they announced something Metal Gear related, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. Now, the big reason I left this till last is because there's one particular game in this collection, and I couldn't be happier. Metal Gear Solid 4, leaving its prison after, 18 years? Like, it's been a very long time. And it's coming. And yeah, it's going to be included in the Master Collection, Volume 2, which releases in, I think it said August. Yeah, August. And it comes with Peace Walker. It's coming with Metal Gear Solid Babel, which was, I believe, a Japanese-only release. I know it didn't come out in the UK. A bunch of art and soundtracks and stuff. But man, by the way, the cover for this Master Collection is terrible. It's awful cover. But I don't care. I really don't care. Metal Gear Solid 4, I've been asking for this for years. Like, I went back on Twitter. I've been asking for this since 2016, apparently. I couldn't be happier. Metal Gear Solid 4 is the reason I basically have a PS3. I adore that game. I think it's a game more people need to play. It's very a unique game because that game has like 9 hours of cutscenes. And you know what? The game just works. It has incredible gameplay. It has some very unique gadgets in the game. The story is out there beyond belief. More out there than in any other Metal Gear game. And, originally, it was kind of out there that they couldn't put it on Xbox because of the whole power thing, and then it was exclusive because of a paid deal or whatnot. And then we heard that, oh yeah, it would need to be on 17 DVD discs or something like that. There's been memes about it for years, about it coming in a huge box set, right? Well, anyway, it came out like a year ago that apparently there was a 360 version up and running. So like, this I don't think this will be the 360 version. It's the PS3 version, but yeah, it's finally coming over. Now I've went over that trailer more times than I care to admit, and it did look better. It definitely looked sharper than the original release. So, you're going to have 60 frames per second. Konami's improved their games over time when it comes to the Master Collection Volume 1. So if you're on Xbox and you've never played Metal Gear Solid 4, you're going to get a great experience. If you're on Switch, by the way, the Switch version is a Switch 1 game. Right? So really think about that. The Switch 1 is going to be able to play Metal Gear Solid 4. Now, the Switch is more powerful than a PS3, but just thinking about it sounds weird, Before we continue, we have the first Super Chat of the day by Nick W. Thank you very much for the $4.99. He says, I'm so happy about Metal Gear Solid 4 coming this year. Dude, look, I talk about Metal Gear Solid all the time. I love Metal Gear Solid. It's a weird franchise, but in a good way. The story's so out there and outlandish. And, like, the fourth game takes that up like 10 notches. It's so absurd, like the fight between Raiden and the Metal Gear. We can call it a fight, just the way the whole game is. It's so out there and outlandish, and I adore that game. And unfortunately, my PS3 Slim it's loud. I've said before, it sounds like the helicarrier from the Avengers movies. It's loud. It's the loudest electronic device I have on my house, which is crazy. And I'm so happy, man. I can't really turn on my PS3 anymore to play it because it'll probably pop off. But man, could not be happier. Logan, what do you think? Because like this was, I think it might have been the biggest announcement.
Yeah, this was huge because, like you said, this is a game that, for odd reasons, was just never on Xbox at all. And then there was all these excuses about why it could never be backwards compatible or ported over or this. And turns out, yeah, it was very doable. And they just did it. And I'm just ecstatic. It's one I never played through. So it's one I've been wanting to play a very, very long time. And so being able to get it, all shined up and new with better features and quality, I can't wait. I'm very, very excited. Definitely a highlight of the show.
I just saw Nick mention in the chat. Yeah, this is an Xbox show. We will talk about the God of War thing because I think it's an interesting topic. But the Metal Gear thing, man. Like, oh, by the way, they announced 2 more Metal Gear Solid things. So, Metal Gear Solid 3 in the Master Collection is getting an internal resolution bump. Now, for people that have played it, like me, in the Master Collection, it does have a quote-unquote 4K mode, but the internal resolution of the assets looks a little bit lower than Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, that's not a problem. So you're essentially going to get a 4K version of the original Metal Gear Solid 3. The best news was that, and myself and Logan complained about this about a year ago, is that the original Metal Gear Solid in Master Collection Volume 1 is the PlayStation 1 version untouched. Right? There's no extra resolution or anything. Right? You are playing a PlayStation 1 looking game at a PlayStation 1 resolution on your 4K TV. So it looked terrible, right? It really does. But if you play it on PC, you can have the internal resolution up to whatever you want. And even though those are original PlayStation 1 assets, you know what? It still looks good. But Konami were against changing it because they wanted it to be the pure Metal Gear experience. However, myself, I wanted them to give people the ability to play it in 4K. Like Logan, I think I've sent you like screenshots in the past of what Metal Gear Solid 1 looks like upscaled internally to 4K, right?
Yeah, it is. It is different.
But yeah, it looks better. But the fact that they must have listened to the feedback, and yeah, the patch is available now. People can play it. I've seen it in action. Man, look, they are PlayStation 1 assets, but in 4K, it is miles better than the original. So for people getting Master Collection Volume 1, you're going to be getting a really good experience. But Metal Gear Solid 2, sorry, Master Collection Volume 2, Metal Gear Solid 4 in there, like, hopefully the resolution's going to be higher and stuff, but honestly, I'm just happy to play it with Xbox achievements and stuff. And I believe they said they're going to have modern controls for Metal Gear Solid 4. Music to my ears. Because Metal Gear Solid 4 had some awkward controls at times. Man, I'm just happy. I'm really happy. Metal Gear Solid 4 fans, we're eating good. I mean, again, look, the only way to play that at the minute is if you have a PlayStation 3 or you do some stuff on PC, right? And that's why everyone's been saying it's released from prison, right? Some people have taken offense to that. It's like, no, there's literally been no other way to play that game. Thankfully, that's not the case anymore. Logan, have you got anything else to say on Metal Gear before we change topic?
No, just it's comical that people would take offense to saying it's like being released from prison. I mean, it was basically just held on some old hardware, never to see the light of day for just reasons, and now it's finally able to be played by other people. It's a good thing.
Yeah. And look, there's a lot of games stuck on that generation. Or just previous
Heavenly
generations.
Sword is one I'd love
Yeah.
to see come back.
Yeah, Heavenly Sword. I mean, you can get this on PC, kind of. The Saboteur. I've been wanting a remaster of that for years.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Singularity, yeah, games like that.
Singularity. My God, Microsoft, do something with Singularity. Like, what the hell are you thinking? But yeah, we'll talk about the God of War thing quickly, because I think it's it opened up an interesting conversation, because like when it comes to the OG God of War games, I played 1 and 2, and I played part of 3. Those games were great, right? And we're going to see this topic, by the way, when it comes to remakes and remaster collections, you're going to see a lot of these announced over the next couple of years. It's a way for developers to make more money while they're while they're working on like the big new game. And I don't really have a problem with it, But anyway, this is going to be a trilogy remake. We don't know what kind of remake. Could be 1-to-1, could be new. In my opinion, I think they should do 1-to-1. Nothing changed. Maybe some control stuff, quality of life improvements. I know a modern quality of life improvement for older games is removing button bash mechanics from QTEs, so it's just single press.
Please,
Yeah,
please.
because remember God of War? I think God of War 2 had some really bad QTE button bash moments. I know God of War 3 did when it comes to certain parts of the game.
Oh yeah, the Zeus fight
Yeah.
was just obscenely difficult with the button mashing stuff.
Yeah, just stuff like that, I hope they stick with the original camera angle. I've seen a lot of back and forth on this. I don't think you do. Like, look, when they did the original games, when you have a fixed camera perspective, right, there's nothing going on behind the camera, right? They're using those resources to, fill what's on screen to its best. I think, 1-to-1 remakes are perfectly fine, right? I know some people view remakes as only games that take the base story and make a completely new game, like, a Resident Evil 2 or Final Fantasy 7. I think it's completely fine to do 1-to-1, right? Gears of War Ultimate Edition is technically a 1-to-1 remake. Perfectly fine. So that's my opinion. And, I by the way, I saw IGN put out an article today in a poll saying, like, should they censor the God of War games? And is that where we are now? Obviously, it is clickbait, because who wants censorship? But like the fact that they put that out there, come on, nobody wants God of War censored. Like, come on. Logan, what do you think of the whole God of War thing? Because like we are going to see more collections like this from other studios and more games, but I think a lot of people seem to be happy with this God of War collection so far. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love the original trilogy. They were a lot of fun, and honestly, I kind of wonder in an alternate universe how God of War 4 would have done the reboot if they had just made it in that same vein of game instead of, the walking sad dad but boy, type game that they made it. And yeah, I'm excited to play it and I enjoyed it, and this might be controversial, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they do censor it and they either take out completely or amend some things, because like it or not, it feels like the current climate and certain things, if you want to call them soft, okay, but it just seems like more people get upset and in their feelings about some things or triggered by things than it was when we grew up with some stuff. Like I don't know, like things they were able to get away with on PS2, Xbox, GameCube era, it doesn't feel like they can fully get away with now for various reasons. Rightly or wrongly, it is what it is. So if I had to guess, I'd guess that they probably just take it out. But do I think from a preservation standpoint it is best for them to do that? Probably not. But again, there's a reason why we don't have Conquer in today's world
Yeah.
and some other things. Like he was the opposite of too pure for this world. So I don't know. I wouldn't hate it if it's in it, and I wouldn't hate it if it's not in it. I'm indifferent. That definitely did not make the game for me, but it is still kind of funny that people are up in arms about trying to rally the wagons to get something canceled from art that was around 2 decades ago, and for reasons they just want to make it like that never happened. When that was part of what made Kratos the character was he was a scumbag, frankly. Just straight up, he was a scumbag, awful person. And then he finally gets kind of redeemed in 4. So, I don't know. What do you think?
I, I'm against censorship in general. You know, like if
Mhm.
like I'll name one game I know for a fact will never get remade. Right? In fact, if it does, I'll do an ice bucket challenge and like a block of cheese live on air or something. Right? Um, anything. Right? Manhunt.
Oh, yeah, that one has less than an ice cube's chance.
Yeah, like Manhunt will never be remade ever, and I kind of just accepted that. God of War, right? Look, I don't understand why people would play a violent game and then complain about there's being violence. Like, one, we have age ratings on games for a reason.
Mhm.
So why do we need to censor games that are 18 rated? I know in the US you have adults only rating, but like if
Which is a death sentence for sales, basically. But
you know what's weird in the UK, like the highest is 18. Same with movies.
Mhm.
Like that isn't really a thing here. Like if a movie or a game is rated 18, it's just on the shelf and you have to show ID. That's it. But I know in the US, like adult only rating is like a big no.
yeah, you would have to go to a quote specialty store for that kind of thing for movies or games. It just wouldn't be on in store.
That's crazy. But the stuff you see in God of War, maybe they do have to in some territories. But like I think censorship in general is just stupid. It's not needed. We have ratings. Like, just deal with it. And if it's a digital only release, which we don't know, it should even be less of an issue. But yeah, just IGN putting out that article made me think. Really, are we asking if people want censorship now? Look, if you don't like what's in it,
There's
don't.
too much water, Jeremy.
Sorry, say that again.
I said there's too much water in it.
Yeah. Oh God, IGN will never live that down. I think that if you're into God of War and you're a God of War fan, then you're gonna pick it up, right? It's like playing a Halo game and complaining that there's guns in it. You know, like why? You know, we were talking about this earlier in the show. Games, focusing on their core demographics, right? God of War should be made for, shocker, God of War fans. Halo should be made for Halo fans and people that like games like Halo. So when censorship gets brought up, I just think it's silly. Yeah, And look, I don't like mentioning that too many people are soft now, but come on, if you're gonna play a violent game about a dude that's violent, are you going to complain that it's violent? It's silly. Man, the game industry's a mess.
Man, did you see Graffy's reaction to the spin-off game?
No.
Oh man, he about lost it. He just went scorched earth on the Metroidvania-looking God of War prequel game or whatever it is, like Ghost of or Sparta something. I can't remember what it's called, but like he went unhinged and saying like basically it's a disgrace and it shouldn't have the name associated with it at all, and who the bleep wants this, and like he was very, very unhappy with some of the God of War stuff that was revealed.
I mean, look, God of War's his baby. I can't really blame him. I haven't really kept up with the. Oh yeah, there is Sons of Sparta. I haven't really kept up with it or what it is. So I can't really speak on it. But like, if it like spin-off games in general, I don't really have a problem with in general. Like hell, I was just talking about Halo. Halo's had a bunch of spin-off games, but they are still fundamentally Halo games, and this is a 2D game. I mean, again, I don't really know anything about it. I can't say anything, but I mean, look, the creator is bound to be angry that things changed. In my opinion, I think the fixed camera thing for God of War was always cool and still is. I don't think like third person is like mass market friendly. I think it's perfectly fine to have fixed camera games and games, right? So if like
I want Dante's Inferno to come back.
Yeah, like great example, right? If Dante's Inferno came back, do I want a full third person over the shoulder, or do I want a fixed camera thing? I personally would like them to do a fixed camera thing. Maybe that's just me. Like, look, Devil May Cry, mainly a fixed camera game. So like, I think it just really depends on who you ask. But like the censorship thing, no censorship, not on my watch. like you'd be like, imagine GTA if it was censored. You'd be missing half the game.
You gotta karaoke bars instead.
Yeah, like, oh man, that'd be awful. But yeah, that's just my take. But overall, I thought it was a good show. And again, we are going to see lots of collections of games over the next couple of years. That's the price we pay for, one, not having full backwards compatibility with everything, and two, developers spending $300 million and taking 6 years to make a game. So we're going to get ports on a lot of games. Let's see what we've got next. Because we've been going for like 2 hours and we still have topics to go. Okay, Final Fantasy 7 Part 3 was basically announced for everything. Now, every time I mention this, I have one or two people replying to me saying, Jamie, you can't know this for a fact. But let's be honest, Square Enix has never made a deal on a game that they've, made with Sony and then announced to other platforms. They've never done that for a Sony deal. So, same thing here. No deal in place. It'll be on everything. And even the developers came out yesterday and said, look, the game being multi-platform it's going to have the most players. It's going to have the most eyes on it. Obviously, it's going to make the most money. But like they're opening themselves up to more fans now, right? They have people on board that maybe are on Xbox or maybe on Switch or PC that are just getting into Final Fantasy VII because of the remake, and then they're going to be buying Rebirth in June. I know it's already on PC, but they're going to be getting Rebirth in June, and then Part 3, which is, I am 99% sure, next year. They said, by the way, they are on schedule with everything with that game. So it looks like that's coming. Square Enix, they've committed to doing multi-platform for a while. We've heard it for a while, and it looks like it's finally happening. In fact, they have 2 more games coming to Xbox this year. They have, I think it's called The Adventures of Eric or something. It's like a 2.5D game. It looks pretty cool, actually. And then, we have Rebirth. Like, Logan, we've gone back and forth for years about this, but, like, it basically is all but confirmed that Part 3 is going to be day on date and everything.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it sounds like Square is done money hatting stuff and realizes that to keep Final Fantasy at the forefront of franchises and big JRPG media, it needs to be everywhere for everyone, day one. So I'm glad they finally got it, and yeah, we'll all be enjoying together.
Yep. The turnaround for those games, my God. I know this is another. I know I said this last week, but like developers, like if you're good with Unreal Engine 4 and you can make a game in less than 5 years, stick with Unreal Engine 4. It's like clearly games look and perform great on that engine. I glazed Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate for like 30 minutes earlier on the show. Clearly they're doing something right. But man, yeah, just happy. Square Enix will learn that, yeah, they do make more money doing this. And look, the 7 remake has a physical version on Switch. I know that if you got it in the US, it comes with Rebirth. Rebirth in the US is coming with the collector's edition. Might and what's that card game called? Might and Magic? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's come with a
Or
Might and
Magic
Magic
the
card
Gathering
of
or something like
Zack
that.
Fair from
Okay.
Crisis Core, right? That sold out in the US and it doesn't come out till June. Like, clearly, and by the way, I know people are being back and forth on this. People have told me Rebirth is better. People have told me 7 Remake is better than Rebirth. I guess I'll find out. But people are clearly happy in the Final Fantasy space on these consoles. How times have changed. Go back 3 years, we thought the only piece of Final Fantasy content we were going to get on Xbox was the Power Wash sim level, where you clean the bike in Shinra headquarters. So times have changed. But it's good to see. Square Enix, they're clearly making a lot of money off this. It's a good move. Yes, we could say these games should have always been on the platforms, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. Logan, have you got anything else to say on Final Fantasy before we change topic?
Just that I'm glad it is finally it'll all be here, and I hope that Square makes all their stuff play anywhere going forward. Most of it has been lately, but not all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a bit weird to not do Play Anywhere these days. I think the only Final Fantasy game now that doesn't have Play Anywhere, that's, on PC as well, is Crisis Core. Because that came out, before a lot of big AAA games were doing Play Anywhere. But it's things they can go back and add. Multiple people have told me that the Crisis Core on the Switch still doesn't have a Switch 2 version. Hopefully they patch that. But hey, good time to be a Final Fantasy fan. Let's see what we've got next. You know what? AMD, we're going to talk about this last week, but we'll mention it quickly here. AMD basically confirms the next-gen Xbox is coming in 2027. there's been lots of back and forth about this because the whole RAM apocalypse is basically going to dictate how next gen pops off and when it does. And I know some people agree with me. I'm not going to draw this topic out for like half an hour like I did earlier today. But the truth is, the current market conditions with the RAM stuff, it's a messy situation. It really is. You know, the Switch 2 is rumored to go up in price this year. Nvidia is basically not doing any new cards anytime soon on the mass consumer level. And, you know, all because people can make memes about Godzilla fighting Kirby. You know? That was a cool video, I'm not going to lie. But, like, everything's being dictated because of the RAM situation. So whereas AMD, they are saying the next-gen Xbox comes in 2027, I actually believe that the next-gen Xbox might get delayed. You know, things can change. You know, I know the chipsets are apparently finalized, but, like, I think if you're a console maker, you maybe want to put out a console that isn't $1,000, right? I think that, you know, putting out like, look at the Steam machine, right? Valve have committed to 2026 for a release, but they will not say how much it costs, and they won't put out a new release window. Do you know why? Because that thing's going to be pricey. Like when Linus Tech Tips went to Valve to talk about it, he mentioned console price, and Valve asked him, "What do you mean by console price?" And he said $500. And apparently there was a deafening silence in the room, right? Because I think a lot of people looked at that little PC and thought, "Oh yeah, $500, right?" But now people are just going £1,000, £700, £1,200, or whatever, or dollars. And like, in my opinion, the market right now isn't good for anything technology related. So like, whereas the rumor has been for the past couple of years that Microsoft will be going first, regardless, you know, RAM situation or not. But I think waiting an extra year or two will actually benefit everyone, because you can't release a next-gen Xbox at $1,000. You just can't, right? I think realistically, you put out a console when the parts are cheaper, and like consoles have always been a cheaper entry point into gaming, and all of a sudden moving to like a more expensive piece of hardware, like gaming PC price, I don't think it's going to sit well with anyone. You know, Xbox is going to be in a weird position where normally going first works out really well. Let's look at the 360. Microsoft went a year first. They became the de facto console that generation, right? Where gaming was just referred to as Xbox. And then this time around, they could be 1 or 2 years early. But if you have a price console that's like $1,000, it might make people think like, oh, I'm not going to get that. You know, or do they subsidize the console at launch and then make the price go up later, which I saw people in chat mention earlier today? The truth is, we don't know, right? We know what AMD said. We know what the market conditions like. But like, for instance, I went to buy RAM. I've told Logan this, but I went to buy RAM in June last year. The RAM was £48. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to wait for a Christmas sale. Possibly one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my entire life. Nothing serious, but like a very bad decision, because in November the price went up to $170. In December the price went up to $197. And now that exact RAM I was going to get back in June for £48, £48, now costs £237. It's not fancy RAM, by the way. It doesn't have fancy LED lights on it, right? It's just regular RAM, right? Nothing fancy about it. It's RAM from, like, I think 2018. And, yeah, it's costing an arm and a leg for an old chip. And I refuse to spend that much money on something I know is barely worth £30. But that's what the whole industry is going through at the minute. You have car manufacturers that are going to have to start upping the price of their cars because cars have RAM in them now. You know, computers on board and stuff. You have Nvidia doing their thing where they're not going to pump out new 60 series cards anytime soon. You have TV manufacturers that are going to start raising the price of their TVs, even the lower models, because there's RAM in them. You know, mobile phones are going to go up in price because of RAM. Storage is going up in price now because data centers need storage. And, companies like Western Digital are out of their 2026 stock of storage already, and it's February. So, like, when I look, there's always excitement around next gen and new technology and new hardware. But I've never once looked at my Xbox Series X, the games, and thought, man, that is so blurry. It feels like the edges are going to cut my eyeballs. I've never thought the performance and visuals look bad. I say, and as much as I do want the game industry to crumble in somewhere with a Crash 2.0, this won't be the way it happens. But, like, I think if you're Microsoft, if you're Sony, you just put off next generation for a little bit longer. People will be there to buy your consoles whenever they come out. There's time. I think that the way this generation started a bit slow. And look, people can disagree with me. Look, I get it. It's okay to be excited about, tech and consoles and stuff. This is just my take, Like, they can come out next year with a really cool console, cool concept, and I'll be like, cool, nice. But as of now, I think that, Microsoft are okay waiting an extra year. That's my take. Logan, what do you think? Because unfortunately, we have to talk about the Rampocalypse for the 50,000th time. But the truth is, it's affecting everything. And, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, mine is very similar to yours. Like, I'll just be blunt. I've considered this generation to largely be basically a 1.5 or of last gen. Like, it is there are a few things that they couldn't do before, but for the most part, it's just slightly better stuff from the Xbox One generation. Once we got the Xbox One X, to that point. And there's still a lot more they can do and cook with these consoles. They still haven't maximized them. Games are taking bloody forever to make at this point, so there's clearly some stuff still in the pipeline that they can get done before next generation. With RAM being insanely expensive right now, with the tech forefathers lacking the foresight to think that maybe we should have more than 3 places in the world know how to make some of these chips or silicon or whatever, making it so expensive and so short supply. It's just I'm not ready for it. Like, if they made a new one, would I be happy? Yeah. But I'm not just like chomping at the bit with it. And I think part of that is because I also have an Xbox Series X. That is my shiny new toy of hardware. And it's basically the Xbox portable I always wanted. And, I don't care what some mouth breathing rant some folks might have about whether it's an Xbox or a PC. I do not care. It plays Xbox games that I like. It is my quote BC machine for some of the games that haven't been made BC for various reasons, like Saboteur or some of these other games that I've wanted on my Xbox Series X. And, knock on wood, maybe we still get for a 25th anniversary, maybe, perhaps, please, Xbox. But at the very least, I can play some of those older games on it. I can play some indies on it. I can do some games that never came to the platform for various reasons, or for some reason are skipping for goofy strategies. Like, just, I'm happy. I'm happy with it as is. This generation is not really exciting, but it's got some good stuff, and like overall quality is good. But I still think they need time to cook to come out with something truly special.
Yeah. I just saw in chat by Tony, He wrote Jamie Moore Ram.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like
I like
that.
that. I like that a lot. But man, look. When these consoles came out November 2020, we were all stuck in the house, man. We didn't have a
With no
tradition.
launch titles.
Yeah, like no launch titles. We were all stuck in the house. We were in lockdown basically when the new consoles came out. Depending on where you were in the country, basically determined what kind of lockdown you had. That was an awkward month. But then we went into lockdown straight away again in 2021. So that was a 4-month lockdown. That was brutal. And it feels like this generation for me really started in 2023. Games were coming out on a more regular basis, big games. Game developers were back at work all the time. And now it just feels like, look, if you look at all the games coming out this year, what a year. So many great games coming out. I make these lists of games coming out every month. Like the video for next month, I've contemplated making a top 30 list. Right? Be a hell of an edit, but there's that many games coming out. And this year's packed, next year's already looking good. So for me, I'm not screaming, oh, I need hardware anytime soon. The hardware we've got's great. Digital Foundry put out a video recently about Avowed and stuff, and a bunch of other games. The games look and play great. That's all that matters. Just let the industry sort themselves out before they consider raising the price. That's what I think anyway. And things are going to change. I'm sure Microsoft are having conversations up top about when they should and when they could release it. Because look, Microsoft, they may have messed up in the past when it comes to certain things, but they've made good decisions as well. I'm sure they have people working on focus groups and what they could realistically charge people. But I will say this: I'd be shocked, realistically shocked, if it costs more than $600. If they hold off, release at the right time, when this whole kerfuffle, we'll call it, with the RAM is sorted out, I think consoles can be reasonably priced again, because it is weird, isn't it, that a 360 at launch in the UK I think cost £300, and then if you bought a 250 gigabyte Slim a couple of years later, it was £150. Consoles got cheaper over time. What a novel concept, and now consoles go up in price. VR headsets go up in price. I know the Oculus MetaQuest Quest Pro, whatever it's called, that went up by $100 a while back. I think that the market will be dictated by the whole RAM situation. And I hate the fact that we have to talk about RAM like this. What a thrilling topic, but that's the truth about Magnus. It's going to be dictated by the RAM situation. We'll talk about the Fallout 3 thing quickly. Look, Fallout, the TV show, ended season 2. People are really expecting a shadow drop of Fallout 3 remake or remastered, whatever people want to call it. It kind of lined up with, their development cycle with the leak from a couple of years ago. If you're Microsoft, they're probably kicking themselves, hoping they would have had something Fallout related by now, because Fallout's been popping off on social media, memes, YouTube. Basically, the show in general is highly rated. People love it. I think if you're Microsoft now, you're probably looking at a summer showcase situation. The thing is, if you look at Oblivion last year, they just randomly announced that on a random day. So, will they do the same thing with Fallout 3? It's a big enough game that they could, but I think with something that big, you want to have all eyes on it. And maybe you do that at the June event. Logan, what do you think they'll do with that?
I think they have to at least announce it this year.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's in development. It's like Fable. It's was one of the worst kept secrets in the industry for a long time. And it was funny when a dev, after the official reveal, tweeted "Hey, I'm glad we can finally talk about the thing we've been secretly working on, right?" Yeah. And so, yeah, I think they have to officially reveal it this year at the very least. I would expect them to release the third one this year.
Yeah.
But what if we've been wrong and it's actually a double feature like combo pack kind of thing? Like they just put 3 in Vegas together instead of 2 separate titles.
I think they'd make a lot of people happy with that. They make
It's
so
just
many
an
happy.
idea.
Because, do you know, every time I've posted about Fallout 3, I get a bunch of angry comments of people just talking about New Vegas.
It's
Uh,
better.
yeah, and I've never understood the whole back and forth. Like, was Fallout 3 badly received? No. It's just New Vegas fans like to be loud. Yeah, like, like you're allowed to like both. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just prefer 3. But doing a double pack would be one way of doing it. That is a ridiculous amount of content right there. Because didn't New Vegas? I think that had 3 expansions.
Yeah, it had like a courier stash thing. It had like this crazy mind trip like alien thing. It had gosh. Yeah, there was at least 4
Yeah,
big expansions for that.
and Fallout 3, 5 expansions. By the way, I will never get tired of saying this. Fallout 3 had 5 expansions drop in 8 months.
That's cooking it.
Yeah. And I complain about game development time all the time on Twitter. That's one of the reasons why. Because we were getting a single player game and then we get multiple expansions throughout the year, right? Mass Effect is a good example. We had multiple expansions in the same year a Mass Effect game released. Fallout 3, like five expansions in 1 year. Ridiculous. Ridiculous output. Look, maybe this is another tangent. You know when Mass Effect 2 came out, blew people's mind holes? We got the Mass Effect 3 trailer in the December.
It's insane.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. And then the following E3, we got gameplay for Mass Effect 3. That's what game turnaround was like back then. But now, if you play a game you like, you've got to wait 5 years on a good day. But hey, yeah, Fallout. I'd be shocked if we don't hear something this year. There's too much money to be had anyway. Microsoft learnt the hard way with the funny thing is, when season 1 dropped of the Amazon show, they didn't know if it was actually going to be received well. That's why the whole show dropped at the same time. So
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of like when Doom 2016 came out, and
Yeah.
internally they were expecting it to be mid, and then everybody loved it.
Yeah. But man, if you're Microsoft, they're gonna be paying close attention to what happens this year because game releases are all over the place, right? March is stacked, April's stacked, basically the rest of this year is stacked, and unfortunately, everything's going to be dictated release-wise, basically in regards to GTA. I know there's rumors that that's going to get delayed again. Look, I don't believe Rockstar leaks because most of them seem made up. But we'll see what happens. It will be funny to see what happens if it does get delayed because you're going to see developers from all across the industry just low-key celebrate because there's a lot of a lot of games coming out later this year that don't have release dates. Same thing happened last time before there was a delay. There was no games, by the way, that had May release dates, and then when GTA got delayed, all of a sudden games start getting release dates for May. Bit weird, that, isn't it? But it's funny how things turn out. But anyway, Logan, have you got anything else to say before we close out the show?
Oh, just one quick thing. I wanted to say that the success of Iron Lung and stuff like that in theaters and stuff got me thinking that there's a lot of fun indies that would make good movies, and I'm glad that film has taken off and done really well. and that it also highlighted a weird omission from Xbox's library. Like, you can play Iron Lung on anything but Xbox. It's not like the greatest game of all time, but the fact that for those who were interested in it while it was in theaters or when it hits home video before too long, that they can't play it on an Xbox device unless you have an Ally X like me, then I thought that was disappointing, and that's something they should get on.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't really know anything about Iron Lung outside, Markiplier basically funded and made the movie himself. I think that's incredible. So hey, if the game's on everything, why not bring it to Xbox? It's just another example of like an indie game skipping the console, which is weird. That happened again the other day, but I can't remember what game it was over.
Jaws game
Yeah, that
from
was
our
it.
friends at Limited Run. Yeah.
Yeah, limited run games. Look, I'm not going to complain for half an hour like I did before, but limited run games, they are notoriously bad at stuff like this. They miss ports all the time. What's that PlayStation 1 game called? Tomba and something?
Oh, Tomba with the pink hair,
Yeah,
and then like Fear Effect
yeah,
never made it, and like several other things. Yeah.
yeah. They do this all the time, and it's. I don't like to say developers are lazy. I really don't. But there's something about limited run games titles. Something comes off a bit lazy. But anyway, that's it for today's show. Everyone in chat has been amazing once again. Now, we typically don't go for 2.5 hours on the show, but we've had a lot to talk about. In fact, we have about 6 topics left, which we still haven't gone over, but we'll leave that for next week. We'll be back for a new episode of All Things Xbox podcast, same time next week. Might go a bit earlier, depending on if I can get certain things sorted. I've kept talking about this green room thing where for half an hour before the show starts, I'll talk about movies and wrestling before Logan gets on. And then when the show starts and then when it airs, I'll cut out the green room part and it'll just be the regular podcast. We'll see what happens with that. Depending on what happens over the next couple of days, I'll have a new video coming out on the channel. Hope people enjoy it. The link to my last video, 20 biggest new games coming to Xbox Series X and S in 2021. Did I say 2021 there? I'm all over the place today. In 2026, the link to that is in the description down below. Also, our @ to our social medias is in the description down below. But again, if no video comes out before then, All Things Xbox podcast, same time next week. Hope everyone has a great day. We're out, everybody. Peace.